most vibrant committees overseeing a lot of government institutions. And on that committee, we had a good time there on that committee. But from there, we went to the next elections, which is the 2020 elections. And the 2020 elections, I won to retain my seat there. So far, this is where the Lord has brought us. The third term in Parliament, and destiny has it that I should join the president, the government of the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as a deputy minister designate. And if approved by this August committee and by the House, then I'll begin my next journey of destiny as a deputy minister.
Very well. Before I leave you, I noticed that in your CV on page 2, you have the same date for 2 different certificates. BA Honors Social Studies, University of Cape Coast, 86 to 1990. Diploma in Education, University of Cape Coast, 86 to 1990. How did you get 2 certificates within the same period?
Around that time at Kivas, we had the privilege of having your degree and at the same time your diploma in education, because it used to be the university for training teachers. So when you go to University of Cape Coast, you have the chance to do your degree, and then at the same time you do the diploma. That's why it is simultaneous thing that we had the privilege, and now it is no longer the case.
Okay, so why didn't you teach when you left the university?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had options, and when I left school, I was drafted into this consultancy by a friend of mine, because I read social science and sociology. They needed somebody to do data analysis, data collection and data analysis. So it wasn't deliberate. I mean, it just came by chance, and I took to consultancy. Thank you.
Very well. Honourable members. Yes. Yes, Honourable Zera.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And good afternoon and congratulations, Honourable Member. Honourable, we happen to have attended the same university. I didn't have the privilege of getting a diploma in addition to my degree. And so I'm just looking at your CV, and on paragraph 3, line 4, maybe you should correct a word. I think you want to write other things, but the N was missing. So just take note of that, all right? So you've been nominated for Deputy Minister of Agric. And I'm wondering whether we have any strategies in place at the Agric Ministry, and whether in your capacity as a Deputy Agric Minister, you'll be able to work with your substantive minister, add value to our agricultural products. We know that agri contributes a lot to our GDP, industry of agriculture. Can you share with us any thoughts that you would be discussing with your minister, Dream for Ghana? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. After governments have tried their best to bring about some changes to add value to agricultural products. Unfortunately, we haven't made much progress. But if you look at the concept of the planting for food and jobs, there are certain components of it that talk about adding value to the products instead of exporting them in their raw state. So there's this linkage between producing the raw materials and linking it to the one district, one factory, so you can add some value to some of these products. For example, the eco juice, the need for pineapple, the demand for pineapple for eco juice is so enormous that we cannot even meet the demand. Therefore, some of such examples are there for people to see that we need to add value to some of our agri products. Cocoa is another example. We need to add value to over 50% of our cocoa beans. But as it is right now, I think the percentage that is exported in its raw form is a bit too high for this country. So it is something that needs a systematic approach, which, if approved by the committee and by this House, it's something that's, together with my minister, we are going to have serious discussions on it.
Nominee,
so we move on.
I met a friend recently, I think last Monday. She says that she wants to process cocoa into chocolate. Her main challenge is how to get the cocoa beans. But it's saying we're exporting about 50%. Meanwhile, Ghanaians who want to process are not giving access. What can you do differently to ensure that the Ghanaians who want to process the cocoa beans here get access rather than we exporting them in their raw bean state?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I remember I had some discussions with my substantive minister on this subject when he was the ranking member here of the Agri Committee. And it's something that is so dear to his heart because he has large tracts of cocoa farms. And this issue came up. Some producers of chocolates could not get the beans to produce. But there are certain contractual obligations. Example is the Bui Dam contractual obligation that we need to honor, because we went for the loan from China to build the Bui Dam using cocoa. So if it happens that our production levels do not meet certain targets, then it affects the beans that are needed here for local production. So it is something that the ministry, I'm sure the minister will take it up, and together with everybody, all the stakeholders, we need to find a way around this problem, because it has been around for a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nominee, I can see you have a very elaborate CV. And on page 2 is detailed your knowledge and work within the road traffic sector of this country. I can see that you undertook some feasibility studies for the rehabilitation of some selected feeder route corridors in all the 10 regions of Ghana. You also did some work on road networks and lorry parks in some selected urban areas under the World Bank Urban 1, 2, and 4 projects. Mr. Nominee, over 50% of farm produce in this country, research suggests, that goes with the deplorable nature of roads in the rural areas where farming activities are more prevalent. If you take my constituency, Salaga South, called Larboko, which is very nice, know that it's from Bunkwa. But this place in this country has no road. In fact, you need to travel there, you need to be on a tractor to be able to traverse the bad nature of the road to get to this community. So it's assumed that a lot of the yam that should otherwise have been on our dining tables or exported to earn us some foreign exchange goes waste due to the nature of the road that the farmers and the traders equally have to ply. What sort of synergy do you see that the ministry, your ministry, can create with the Ministry of Roads and especially the Feeder Roads Department in order to make these roads more travel, to ease the difficulty that farmers and traders alike face, in order that we'll reduce this wastage, post-harvest wastage, that is occasioned because of bad roads? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, having worked in the consultancy field across the length and breadth of the country, at least I have a best eye view of what my honorable member is talking about. I know Salaga very well. And over the years, this problem has existed because of that lack of linkage between the Agric Ministry, maybe local government ministry, and roads and highways, especially Department of Feeder Roads. But it is something that any development consultant will need to discuss this in an elaborative way so we can have a lasting solution to it. As we speak right now, mentioning roads, I feel a bit emotional about it because, it is something whose harvest losses. And as we speak now, the Cocoa Board, through my ministry, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, roads in the real areas where food is produced. And I'm sure it will be extended to a lot of places in Ghana, not especially where shea is also produced. It gives you a leverage to also have the benefit of this Cocoa Board new policy. And I'm sure in the next few years, some of these issues will be made to rest. Thank you.
My final question, Mr. Nominee. According to the Oxford Business Report 2020, agriculture employed 44% of the total labor force in Ghana. Given that most of the people are smallholder farmers and rural-based, one can conclude that a significant percentage of rural dwellers draw their livelihoods from engaging either directly or indirectly in agriculture. What will you do at the ministry should this committee give you the nod to support these smallholder farmers who are feeding the country to expand their farms, receive more inputs or implements, and to support them to employ more people? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the ministry, and if I get a nod graciously from this committee and from the House, it is something that I'm going to add my voice on, so we will get the necessary support to get the inputs that we all talk about, especially access to land, access to these inputs, planting materials and all that. At the moment, they registered most, the smallholder farmers, for the planting for food and jobs. If you look at the categorization, they form the bulk of those who benefited from the first years of the implementation of the planting for food and jobs. And what goes into the implementation of planting for food and jobs is what you just talked about, the inputs and then the seeds for planting and all that. But it's something that the second phase of planting for food and jobs, if I get the nod, I'm going to assist my minister to push it a little bit further, because our land tenure system in Ghana does not support large-scale farming, especially from below the savanna zone downwards. Therefore, we depend on the smallholder farming. So we need to give them full attention to be able to produce to feed Mother Ghana and for export. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. Honorable nominee, congratulations. So I'm asking my third question first, flowing from what the honorable nominee just asked you. Agriculture for employment. How are you going to use agribusiness to solve the unemployment problem of our teeming youth, especially the young graduates? So I'm not talking about planting for food, I'm talking about agribusiness for them to get jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we can only encourage our young graduates to take full advantage of the modules under the Planting for Food and Jobs, all the modules. There are components there that they can take advantage of in going into agribusiness. And that's why it takes some individual ingenuity and creativity, because the opportunities are there, and whenever the need arises and they approach some of us, if we are given the nod and we go there, these are some of the things that we should be doing, especially agribusiness will bring about value added and all that. And it will all dovetail into one thing. I mean, food security, we can preserve these things, and then they will be in full employment, not the casual employment that we talk about here.
Thank you. I hope if you are given the opportunity, you advertise the opportunities available and also encourage them.
Yes.
According to Ghana Export Promotion Council, in 2008, 61,590 tons of raw cashew valued at 45.37 million was exported. In 2019, fast forward, about 394,452 tons of raw cashew nuts valued at 237,889 million was also exported. Honorable nominee, the challenge in the cashew industry is pricing. Unlike cocoa, the prices fluctuate, and government does not also give the price at which cashew are to be bought. And so anybody will come and offer a price, and at times, 1 kilogram of cashew is sold as low as 1 cedi. What are you going to do in terms of cashew pricing? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fortunately for us, we have this 3 crops authority in place now. That is going to play the role of cocoa board for the other 6 tree crops. So the one objective of establishing this authority is to ensure that production is online, and again, there's price stability, just like cocoa. So this coming into being of this tree crops development authority would resolve this problem that we are facing right now. And I'm sure the CEO and his people are now tackling this issue seriously, because this cashew thing has been coming in year in, year out. The pricing, the price fluctuations in the cashew industry is something that has been happening every year. So I'm sure the Tree Crop Development Authority will take action on this one. Thank you.
A quick follow-up on that one. I'm sure we are all talking about Act 1010, which was passed in 2019, and it enjoined the authority to have regional offices. As we speak right now, nothing of that sort has happened. At least they could have started from cashew-producing regions, but there is no sign after 2 years. I hope if you are giving the nod, you take this matter up seriously to help people in the cashew industry. Lately, you have given out seedlings for the farmers to cultivate. I can assure you, if nothing is done, the seedling will go waste because it will not be attractive for people to cultivate cashew. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will do exactly that. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Patrick Bama.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and congratulations, my brother. The concept of greenhouse farming is picking up in this country. I know of what Amandi is doing around Dowenya and Akumadan area, and what it can do in the area of job creation. What would you do to support the ministry and the government of the day to expand that program? I was reading a lot of research papers and findings about this program in Morocco. I visited Morocco. I've seen what they've done and the benefits to that country, especially looking at the climate in that country. What is your take on that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This greenhouse technology for agriculture, especially for the production of vegetables, it's something that is so encouraging where we are right now. I read a certain material the last time that during the NDC time they started something, and fortunately for us, the government of Nana akufo-addo has continued and scaled it up. We are only hoping that this technology will be extended across the length and breadth of this country. Why am I saying so? You see, prices of these vegetables get so high when, especially we are in the dry season. But this is an all-weather, all-year-round production technology. So if we extend this technology countrywide, we are going to have a situation where that wide differential in pricing, when there's glut and when there's scarcity, we suffer a lot. That will come to an end. That situation will come to an end. So, Mr. Chairman, I will encourage my colleagues, especially those who will want to go into it, when if approved, and I get there, I'm going to take it up for members who will be interested to go into this one. So we live by example. Thank you.
Very well, thank you. What are some of the gaps in the distribution of fertilizer and other farming inputs in the Planting for Food and Jobs program, if there is, or if there are any solutions to the gaps so far identified?
Yes, initially, we do the depots in the various communities. There were some gaps. So from the ministry, there is a program that is going to ensure that the various depots are established within close distance. And then, especially smuggling of the products from Ghana to our neighboring countries. That is the major gap, I mean, as far as fertilizers are concerned. With the security outfits and everybody being vigilant, we have to stop the smuggling especially. So, so we can have all our fertilizers here for the benefit of our farmers. Yeah.
And last question, the Amanse area is quite deprived when it comes to roads in this country. But the human capital there, and especially when it comes to cocoa, I think it's about second in the country. From your area, Bekwai, Jakobu area, the whole Amanse area. Cocoa.
Cocoa production or eating, Patrick, provide particulars, just for the record. Cocoa production.
Yes, cocoa production. Cocoa production ranking. Leader, and the chairman is emotional when it comes to some of these things, but I will not let him go there now. What are you going to do to step up cocoa plantations on those lands that have been degraded by this menace of Galamsey? Thank you. That's my last question, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, land degradation and vis-a-vis cocoa production in the Amansi area, it is mind-boggling because when I was a little kid, I used to walk through large tracts of land. Cocoa farms are gone. So it is something that is causing a lot of problems in the area because the lands can no longer be used for any other purpose. They are degraded, so degraded in such a way that even reclamation has become a big challenge. If there's a way to reclaim those lands, we have to do it so we can put those lands back into cocoa production to raise cocoa production in the area. The only relief here is the Cocoa Board's innovative ways of what they call the vertical production technology, where even if it is 1 acre farm, the inputs and then the hand pollination and all those things that they've introduced have ensured that farmers still get some yields that, although it is not up to the amount of cocoa that we used to have in those areas. And this matter we are discussing here does not even apply only to the Amansi areas, but all the cocoa growing areas where small-scale mining, and for that matter, Galamsey, is prevalent. So it's a national duty, just like the president has. We all have to support it so that we can preserve these lands for agriculture and for cocoa production. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Gaga.
Through your CV, I can see that you have been very instrumental in small-scale irrigation development and expansion. You did this even when you were not at the Ministry of Agriculture. Now I have a very serious problem. Siniensi, there is a small-scale irrigation dam which operates under the auspices of the Irrigation Development Authority. This dam collapsed sometime in 2016. There was heavy flooding. For 4 years, I have been pursuing this matter to have the dam reconstructed. The dam is the Kasa Dam. If you're given the nod, what would you do to ensure that the people of Siniensi can have access to their dam, which gave way in as far back as 2016 June?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have a soft spot for irrigation schemes in the country because of the effect of climate change on agriculture. So we can have all year round agriculture. So, in operation, that has collapsed. Maybe we need to take inventory of all these wells. Because if those, I don't know the hectareage of that about, I'll find out when I get there. I don't know the land area that was cultivated because of this dam. So since 2016, it means all these farmers have been rendered redundant. They don't have access to water to irrigate their crops, which is not a good thing at all. So my friend Honorable Gaga, Mr. Chairman, I would take inventory of these dams. If I get a nod, and I go to the ministry, work with the Irrigation Development Authority, and find out what has kept the authority this long to bring back that dam. Thank you.
Yes, leadership.
Chairman, I should thank you and also join you in congratulating the Honorable Yao Frimpong-Addo. And he's a friend of mine, and I have no hesitation admitting to that. In terms of temperament, he's a fine gentleman. How I wish that today's measure was only about temperament. I would have said that he's a cool, calm person, and I trust that he would assist the minister in the execution of his job if he so gets recommended by our committee. But suffice it to add that I have a duty to ensure that you are in compliance with Article 94 of the Constitution. I have a duty to ensure that there is no matter of moral turpitude or matter of any criminality associated with you. But essentially, Chairman, even as he meets that requirement as an elected member of Parliament, I'll take it from where the Honorable Agalga left it. And to paraphrase his word, inventory of irrigation. I want you to expand your inventory of irrigation. And when I was Minister for Trade and Industry, I traveled to South Africa to the International Development Corporation, I believe. And subsequent to my return, I was convinced that the Ministry of Trade needed to work with the Minister for Agriculture to raise additional funding to support irrigation development. I should say that I proudly initiated the Tammany Irrigation Development Project and wrote that some work be done for Amati in the eastern region, Umprem in the central region, and Kamba Inwa in the upper west region. And Kamba will do the trick for the people of the upper west region. It's been on the drawing board since independence. And I just think that when you go, we are not there yet, but I share your position that we should increase the portfolio to them. So your CV, what do you have to tell Chairman? He has. And then prior to becoming legislature, is more of a reporter speech, as I recall my secondary school English, instead of the CV being your personal thing. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I acknowledge Honorable Rankin's sentiments on the CV. I thought it was a style, but I just want to declare that this is me, Yao Frimpong-Addo, saying everything in this document as mine and wholly mine. So I think that brings to rest.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Then when you come to page 2 of your CV, Executive Masters in...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's security, conflict, peace, and security at the Kofi Annan International Training Center.
That's an institution.
Yes.
But I wanted to know subject matter.
Yeah, these are the key subjects that are taught over there. It's about conflict and
so, to put it simply, you have masters in what?
In conflict resolution, security, peace. Conflict resolution that will bring about peace, that will ensure security. That's it.
On your certificate, what is written?
And it is the same as I said, conflict, peace, and security. Yeah.
So don't break it down into conflict that will bring security. That will not go on the certificate.
Have you paid all your taxes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Have you been declaring your assets in accordance with the Constitution? And then corporate social responsibility. I see that you've done some work on it. And my view is that we need a corporate social responsibility policy. I should again say that I started working on one at the Trade Ministry before I left. But we need a legislation. Corporate social responsibility cannot be funeral donations and outdooring support. And I think that even as we think of legislating on it as a country, we should dedicate it to sports development. We can decide that all these corporate entities contribute for the purpose of sports development.
Because you like sports. I prefer dedicated to entertainment.
Chairman, then you like Torah. You know what the Dagomba is called Torah. Zuera will tell you. Zuera will share it with you later. So the entertainment will be Torah. So corporate social responsibility. This is what I think. And Chairman, I can only wish the nominee well. Thank you.
Right, Honorable, you and I are in the Amanse district. I mean, it's a big, we used to be one district. It's now been broken up into about 5 different districts. It was a huge one, right? But it's obvious that Amansia West, as it used to be, is one of the least, that benefited least from the Amansia district at the time. But we also, as I said, one of the places we have the most in terms of cocoa production, in terms of gold. The 2 places, and we are victims of our own endowment. Because we have so much gold, we are the target of everybody who wants gold. And it's also, once you target gold, you lose cocoa. And so there's a conflict. Tell me, as a Deputy Minister for Agric, how will you ensure that with the balance, that those who desire to mine can mine so responsibly that those of us who prefer to farm will not be negatively affected?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the ethos of the current fight against galamsey, it's all about that. How to ensure responsible mining that will not degrade the land as it has been done in the past. It is a Herculean task. In fact, our side of Amansie, I don't think there's even more land for small-scale mining again. Every land is gone. So all we need to do is how to come out with a program to reclaim all those lands and bring them back to agricultural production levels. So, Mr. Chairman, I think if you go by the new directives, programs for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, where there is this operation halt in these galamsey activities, what we need to do is to encourage them and then also encourage the establishment of the community mining, that concept, so that community people will be responsible for every action they take when they are given a certain portion of land to do the community mining. Then those of us who are interested in agriculture will also be left alone to do our farming. So we only hope for the best in this direction. There must be collaborative efforts between the Ministry of Agric, the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, and local government ministry especially, so we can have a lasting solution to this problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very well. I know for a fact that one of the major reasons you had a tough re-election were the road networks in your constituency. Now, what assurance can you give your constituents that with this elevation and honor, you put pressure on to ensure that the roads which were not constructed will be finished before the next election?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look behind me, my traditional authority in the constituency and districts are fully represented here, and they represent the Omahine of Mason Kwanta traditional area. And I have my DCE also here, all coming to witness this occasion. So the only thing I can tell. Oh,
We're talking about monsoon roads. That's why his wife was not
right.
mentioned.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we know that 7 of our roads have been awarded on contract. And we are just praying that by close of next year or 20...
Can you mention those roads?
Yes,
we'll
I
have
can.
you on record. Then we can measure whether you would follow up to ensure that those road networks are improved. So don't just say 7, then tomorrow
Right.
you come back. Which roads
Okay.
are you going to work on to get the constituency have improved road network in it? So don't just say 7. Which are the roads? If you can't mention all, but at least attempt to share with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, thank you.
The first one is the Mim Junction, which is the gateway to our district. Mim Junction to Manso Kumpesi. And then from Manso Kumpesi to Manso Dewisasu. The third one is Manso Kumpesi to Tontokrom. Then we have Manso Nipanchemia to Manso Aboso. There's another one from Kencity Junction to Watreso. Then we have another one also coming from Mimdomi to Odahun. That will link to Odotobri district. And then
You see, you can't get all of them done within this. So let's focus on 2 major ones, which you are sure can assist you get done. And the rest, if you get them, thank
these
God.
are short roads, so once they've been awarded, the contractors are working on them right now. We just have to put pressure on them to complete.
Chairman, I'm building my dossier so that I'll go to the villages and say he promised these roads, he couldn't deliver them.
Very well. Well, on this note, we thank you for attending upon the committee to answer questions. You'll hear from us later. You're discharged for now.
I, Kweku Asante Boateng,
Swear by Almighty God
swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable Kweku Asante Boateng, you're a third-time member of this parliament. I know that you've been an active member of the committee for many years. You're a lawyer by training, called to the bar in 2007. And then you are a quantity surveyor. Land economy. So you're a land economist. But for the fact that so we will require you to tell us a little more about yourself. Honorable Muntaka says your CV is very long, so if you don't cut down your speech, your questioning will be long. So learn to manage your speech. Okay, but please tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Apart from what is contained in my CV, maybe most of you are not aware, I was born and bred in a village called Bompata, and I was raised up there, schooled there, before going to the university to read land economy.
Chairman, he says most
just
of you
to-
don't know, but Chairman knows Bompata. And you also in your CV told us that you are Bompata. So what didn't we know?
No, the key issue here,
That you are a village,
yes, I was born and bred in
a village person.
Yes,
That's the key news you are announcing.
yes.
So since when did you become urban?
Urban, no, not that. It was after my sixth form education that I came to Accra. So,
Honorable, continue.
yeah, throughout my working life, I started with Lands Commission, Land Valuation Board for that matter. Then with SIC, Unilever, and subsequently as a private person, a development consultant, evaluator. And what I want to say here is that my working with Unilever Ghana put me in a certain pedestrian, such that wherever I find myself in a working environment, we believe in
delivering of results and not making efforts. Efforts are not marked, but results are rewarded. So that's what I'm bringing on board. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes, other members.
Chairman, if you permitted me, I will congratulate our colleague. As academic as his CV is, I still would want to refer him to page 7 of your CV. But I find your CV rich in terms of the details you've provided. So I'm wondering why, in that meticulousness, you have missed some, you allowed for some gaps. January 2021 to date, January 27 to December 2020. Are you suggesting that at the end of December until January 6th, you are no longer MP? Your mandate ended in December 2020. Is that the case? Thank you, Chair.
Kindly speak to the mic.
Honorable Chair, what I'm saying is that our mandate, or my mandate, ended in January and not December.
And Chairman, he would do so at your indulgence. Member of Parliament for Asante Akim South, Chief Parliament, you see the same gap. Yeah. And then you see the same gap as Vice Chairman, Parliamentary Select Committee on Water Resources, Works and Housing. And that's why I say, but I'm enjoying the text of your CV. Then conferences, capacity building programs mixed up. Some conferences to a capacity building program. Is that not right? I see.
Past 30 years.
So what excites you? Which part of Ghana that when you are in the air flying and you see their landscape, you are excited about? Because they have followed regimentally what should be the case.
Honorable Chair, as I did indicate, I rarely take flights to Tamale and Kumasi. I'm not used to that.
You fear flying like Chairman or
local ones? The local ones.
Or you always want to see Bompata by the roadside when you are traveling out to Tamale. Is that the case? Chairman, our colleague is going to the Ministry of Railway Development. And my view is that there is a Railway Development Authority which will assist you in the performance of the duty and assist the minister that you would be assisting. But this is my view. I don't know whether you share the view. If you look at our annual budget estimate, there is always a provision for annual budget funding amount within the meaning of Act 815, the Petroleum Management Act. Now, if the government will spend money editorially, because of the nature of the cargo, timber, mineral resources, and others. My view is that we should have a national conversation on the use of the annual budget funding amount. Maybe we should collateralize it, then just pick railways from Takwa to Paga to Burkina Faso. Then we know annually this is what we have used our petroleum revenue for, dedicating the annual budget funding amount to get a major investor to take it up. Do you share my view?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I perfectly agree with the minority leader in the sense that we put in our eggs in various baskets, and at the end of the day, we may not see the net effect of those eggs yielding very fruitful results. But if we are to focus and direct our attention to some specific needs of the country, I think it will help. And also we realize that rail development, and for that matter, rail transport, is key in every developmental process of a nation. Because like you rightly said, it will help reduce the pressure on our roads such that the lifespan of our roads will, to a larger extent, be prolonged. And also, when we talk of mobility of human mobility, we realize that rail plays a very key role in the human mobility, and it helps in the development of every nation. As I'm sitting down here, if it were to be in US, somebody who is very competent and can work in Accra here can sit in Kumasi and commute to work in Accra here every day. But maybe he doesn't have money to rent a space in Accra. So that person is limited to be confined to Kumasi and Ashanti alone. So the facilitates the development of every nation. I know some relatives who travel about 100 kilometers every day to work in US and elsewhere because it's very easy to catch a train to their respective workplaces. So,
thank you very much. So I share that dream. For instance, as you use the example, there are persons in the US who live in New York who probably work in Washington, and then from Washington they know that there is a last train line at 5 p.m. that will get them to their destination. So, but bring you to the local village person that you said of Bompata that you were. If you were living in Sawam here, just in Sawam, going towards Suhum and extending further towards your towards the communities on the Kumasi.
other communities within the catchment areas along the respective lines that we're trying to develop. So it's a very good concept, and I think all of us must try that we are good.
As I have seen, I don't know what further expansion I've done to it. There are developments very close to the railway lines across the country. That's a very worrying phenomenon for its further expansion and development. You have any ideas how you intend to help solve that as a problem as we dedicate ourselves as a country to...
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think that's one of the problems that we have at the sector, in that there are a lot of encroachment along the right of way that government has acquired to undertake such development, which is very key and an underpinning factor of our transformational process. But you see, sometimes I get worried, Honorable, in the sense that people behave and do things without any recourse to the laws that governs us. And you see, when you go to Kumasi, and for that matter, my Honorable Minority Whip's constituency, people have built in such a way that even if a train is moving along a track, it will touch a building. So sometimes I think it's a sickness that we need to cure ourselves as individuals. We need to cure ourselves as a nation.
Chairman, that's noted, and the Honorable Patrick will protest so it will be warm up and then come. Chairman, in 2016, I recall in November when then Minister of Finance Tekpe under the NDC and President Mahama secured 398.3 million for 84 kilometers of rail between Tema and Akusumbo, which was to include the Volta Lake. I have traveled on the Volta Lake aspect of it, and compensation for the persons in that area have repeatedly come up. I know your role will be one of advising the minister. Lawful compensation is affected to persons whose livelihood may be affected by some of this railway development initiative. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think payment of compensation to affected landowners is key in every developmental process, such that people have their property, and if government see the need to use that individual's property for a purpose which will serve the general public and the good for us all, the law demands that we
And you have about what you are going to do different for them now that you are being made a deputy minister. Yes, simple.
We started a very good work in terms of road construction. I think about 14 or 15. All my efforts were channeled through that because I know where I'm coming from. Our basic problem is road. Apart from the main road that one is not for me. Accra, Kumasi, that passed through my constituency, and a little bit of it to Jaso. About 300 kilometers are on time within my constituency. And that forms the chunk of problems that the constituency have. So I tried pushing a lot in that area. Just that because of one or two reasons, most of these roads are not completed. And I need to, for this 4 years, second term of His Excellency, I have to strive to ensure that all the uncompleted roads are completed for my constituents. At least that I can assure them.
So we can get some more snails from that area. I know you love snails, Kwaku. Minister, government of Ghana, with the support of Parliament, last Parliament, signed a 500 million euro contract with Amandi Holdings for the construction of sections of the Western Railway line. My view, I want to get your view too on this matter, is that looking at the state of our road infrastructure, if government could convert that facility to fix a lot of the roads in the country and put on hold that project, I'll be very happy. I'm not saying that the rail sector is not important, but looking at where we are, I want to hear from you if you think we must convert that facility and fix the roads and later in life go for some facility to undertake that rail infrastructure. What's your take on it? That's my last question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I don't agree with my colleague to convert that amount for because I think construction of roads are important, but if those in the lower levels of our community, you realize that it will be able to help alleviate a lot of poverty from some individual. Let me tell you, when previously, like I said, I'm a village boy, sometimes I take sleeper from Asankari. The next morning, I'll be in Accra, perishables, commuting from even the north to Accra here, and tomato. And that will increase the revenue for individual farmers who are able to bring their goods down to the cities. He can be sure of the timely arrival of the goods, so that I will not subscribe to that. And I think that money should be used at the appropriate sector, which is the rail that they have devoted the money to.
Very well. Yes, Honorable Gaga.
Honorable nominee, congratulations. My friends, which have been encroached upon by trespassers and thereby have clearly put impediments in the right of way is dealt with.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think for once, let me go this way. Honorable Chair, we will need the support of every individual here to develop our nation. Sometimes we politicize issues and it doesn't help in our developmental process. If I'm given the nod, I will consult with my minister, and if permission will be given, I think the rightful and the needful thing must be done. They are unauthorized structures. Let's go ahead. The first question is, do we need the rail system or not as a nation? If we need the system, then we must do the necessary demolition, that people should not politicize, such that some people will go behind and say, oh, but we need it. It will help in our development process.
Once you speak in a language other than English, you are required to translate.
If we were to be in power of the trash, and it's not helping us. So all of us, after I've spoken, if I'm giving the nod, after I've spoken, and I cited my honorable minority chief quiz constituency as an example, I expect my honorable chief whip to also say something to facilitate, and we'll be doing our motherland Ghana a very good service.
Yes, Honorable Asante Boateng, I know you have done a lot of research. Find out from you, what do you think must have happened if given the nod, which same time, so clearly it is the mandate of the authority to ensure that our railway system.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm there in order to facilitate we're looking for, from the news that I gather, we're looking for a strategic partner to come on board and have a PPP arrangement with our government in developing the sector. We know for congestion within the city, there will be the need at certain height be above the rules or go under. But it's very difficult. We know our handicap is financial and to us. So they finished the feasibility. It looks good, but is the problem now is the school as a nation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to find out from our nominee that earlier on he was trying to educate us to have the eye to see rail development as a way of solving a particular line that will run from Obuasi through my constituency to the center of the city. And and also solve some of the needed solve financial needs of some of the people in my constituency. I'd like to know from you if you are aware of this program and when is it going to commence? I know the Railway Authority have already come down and are trying to decongest the place, getting people out of it. First, we are looking at the compensation issue, whether they are ready for that, because I'll soon be consulted.
I know there has been a lot of encroachment along the right-of-way of the respective. I'm giving the nod in consultation with my minister. We will look at the leases, the legitimacy of the encroachers. Then we can talk of compensation. But if they are not supposed to be there, then the issue of compensation may not come in. I don't know, but I think when I'm giving the nod and giving the opportunity, I will study the respective documents, and make the appropriate recommendations for approval.
Right, thank you, Honorable. I'm very happy to note that you are a lawyer and you're very much people to reside in a place for more than 20, 30 years. It doesn't really matter whether they have the legal right to be there or not, but there should be a way of compensating them. And therefore, if you, by your answer, if you are going to adopt that line of action, I think we're both going to have problems. I don't know how you can speak to that issue now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I know where you're coming from as a member of parliament for an area that maybe some of the tracks are passing. The opportunity. I will study all documents and where need be, if it comes to does Mr. A or B or C.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Congratulations, Honorable Nominees. I take you to page 3. So 3 and October 2003 to 2007. I'm surprised that looking at your CV, you don't have LLB, you don't have QCL, you don't have BA law, but you have BL. It's a bit confusing. And 2, can you explain why you use 4 years to do your BL instead of 2, which is normally the case?
I think previously we were having a system where you do 2 years pre-law before you do the professional. But that has been scrapped off for now. So that was the system I went through.
That's what we used to call QCL, but technically QCL is not a certificate.
The pre-law, you have to state it. If you say you use 4 years
I'm
for-
sorry. I'm sorry for
You
that.
have to go, okay. So you have to amend your CV to indicate that to indicate that there was a pre-law for 2 years before the BL, and the BL was done exactly for 2 years. Thank you. Okay, so on that note, no, just one question. On 4th of April 2019, no, it's not on your CV again. So, 4th April 2019, the Ghanaian European Railway Consortium indicated that it was investing 2.2 billion in the Eastern Railway line. What is your take on that project and the status, if you know? There's a concession agreement that has started. Do you know about it? You don't know about it. I think I'll still forgive you, and because you are now going. But it's a very good project, which the railway line will pass through Tema, it goes to Kumasi, and it goes to help the Buankra inland port. And we know that already 5 million has been invested in an administration block. The Buankra seeks to invest about $400 million also in the Buankra inland port. And this is going to serve those of us in that region. So I hope that if you go to the ministry, you take an interest and see how it goes. Congratulations once again.
You just came in. Yeah, then I was there.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman. And good afternoon, Mr. Nominee.
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Nominee, I'll start off by taking exception to your classifying Bompata as a village. Bompata happens to be my second home. Yeah, my very favorite auntie, Madam Vivian Enin. Yeah, that's where she comes from, and I've been there a couple of times. So when I go to Asante, my home is Bompata, and I don't see it as a village. It's not, honorable, it's not. It's not. So I congratulate you as a brother. Good. Before I delve into my question, I would like to also, maybe it's the Bompata spirit, commend and salute you for your disposition with regards to developmental projects and why it's important for us to depoliticize development issues. That is very critical for our country. We need to accept development as development for the people and not for politicians. So I'm with you on that score. Now, taking up from your own rhetorical question earlier on to a question, whether we need railway or not, we must answer the question sincerely. We then decide where we are going with our railway endeavor. More than 60 years ago, Ghana had over 1,000 kilometers of railway lines. Today, we can count up to 100 kilometers viable railway line. In 2019, the government of Ghana signed a contract with South Africa's government and a company owned in South Africa to develop the railway network from Western region to cater for the mining and, of course, cocoa sector. That is laudable, but I want to find out whether when you get the nod of this committee, and you can count on my vote as a sister, you go to the ministry, will you work with your sector minister to ensure that this is extended to the north so that we can also cut our yam and share nuts and goats and cattle and everything via the railway so that we don't suffer the hazards of road transport? Can we get that assurance? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think when you look at the master plan, the railway master plan that we have, we're trying to continue the railway development from Kumasi through Sunyani to Techiman, Tamale, and up north. So I will support my minister in pursuing that plan to the latest. Thank you.
Okay, now you have the last word before I come to the rest.
I'm very happy you just mentioned the railway master plan. Have you been to the Accra railway station in recent times? When was the last time?
My last time was about 3 months ago.
3 months?
Yes.
And
but just a session.
Yeah.
After the Accra railway session.
Okay. If we want to develop the railway, we have a new railway master plan.
Yes.
What is your conclusions about the developments that are springing up wantonly by the railway lines at Katamanto and leading up to Odona and beyond?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think what I saw there is a worrying situation. And you see, I did say that in this country we have fine laws that protect us. But the attitude of some individuals, there has been some unscrupulous activities by even some employees of the railway company. And you see, Ghana is a nation that I realize people does things and go scot-free. When you want to touch Mr. A, Mr. B will come to his rescue. And like I did mention, all of us as legislators, we should know what we want for our mother Ghana. When it comes to some of these things, all of us, I will entreat us to be singing the same chorus instead of being partisan. Let's try and save our mother Ghana. Other than that, posterity will judge all of us. That's all that I can say.
Chairman, I'm happy the nominee says he's worried. And Chairman, I am worried too. That we say we are redeveloping railways. And he mentioned some workers. Chairman, if you go to railways now, courtesies that the workers, the drivers, the engineers have been occupying, have now been sold to commercial property developers, and they are ejecting the workers to build shops and stores. Then I ask myself, where will the workers stay when you have finally developed the railway system? It's something I will want you to have a look at when you are finally recommended and approved by the House to assist your minister. It is worrying the Railway Workers Association, some of the pensioners. I met an old man who has worked with the railways years. But that is just by the way. Are you aware that parts of the recently done railway line was washed off? Are you aware of that? Achimota, with the Achimota line, part of it. The Pato. Oh. Pato Bama is coaching now. Oh, okay. Mama Pat is the one. If you are not aware, I will ask you to take a look at that one. Some of the slabs which were used are off. The wooden slabs are off. I had a duty of joining some of our colleagues for a walk around the place, and it's really troubling. So I want you to look at that one too. Thank you very much. I wish you well. You're my good friend, so.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll take a close look at that and see what can be done immediately about that. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Leader.
Honorable Asante Boateng, you cited my constituency severally. Don't Asante caucus me here. Now it's my turn to take my pound of flesh. In fact, this house, I've always seen you to be a very nice gentleman. Only this CV exposed that you are a Katangi.
Really?
Yes.
You don't look at it.
It doesn't look like Katangi. You know, I'm from Unity Hall, so that's on the lighter side before the Katangis outside match up here. Mr. Chairman, looking at his CV, I wonder whether he wouldn't have been more useful at the lands ministry than the railways.
We haven't finished our report on you.
In fact, Obi, we've not finished our report on you, and you are responding to us. On your CV on page 4, I noticed that on employment history, from August 2007 to date, you are the Chief Executive Officer, Property Solution Models. September 2008 to date, Tumesi Ankara R and Associates. From August, again, 2007 to December 2010, Executive Director, William Ofori and Co. I can say a lot about these three that I've mentioned overlapping within the same period. How were you managing all this at the same time?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, the first two that he mentioned are two different entities. One is a legal practicing firm, and the first one is a real estate consultancy firm. But the legal consultancy, I didn't mention myself as the CEO or the managing director. And August 2007 to December 2010, I was having a friend colleague, one Mr. William Ofori of Blessed Memory. May his soul rest in perfect peace. And it got to a time that he wasn't well, and I was helping in the management of his firm as well as mine. That's why we have that overlap.
So in the property solution models, that's yours?
Yes.
And what does it really do? Even though I've seen a firm of valuer project managers.
We do valuations for individuals, for banks and other entities. We do development appraisals, anything development, land acquisition, and we take you through the process from scratch.
And since you became a member of parliament, I think 2013, right?
Yes.
Have you taken steps to apply to the speaker so that you could continue working for this, your firm?
I do that consistently. Even yesterday, I was at the committee to seek approval.
And now that you're going to be a deputy minister at the Railway Ministry, do you intend keeping it, or how do you intend to deal with it?
I'll have a different role altogether, and not as a CEO.
You will keep the company, but you just relinquish your CEO
The company
position.
will be there.
So since 2017, have you done any government business using this company?
2017.
To date?
To date. Not necessarily, but I remember I did work for Cocoa Board when you were in power. And even this time I did, as a valuer, I valued Cocoa Board assets in about 8 or 6 or 7 regions of Ghana.
So you've done a number of work for government. So now that you're going to be a deputy minister, I hope you take steps to avoid conflict of interest situations.
With that, but if maybe, yeah, I'll try and do that.
You will do that, or you try and do that? Yeah.
Of conflict of interest is it must be avoided. It depends on the interface between my ministry, myself, and what I do as a deputy minister. And if, let's say, I'm a deputy minister for railways, and I've worked for Cocoa Board before, and I don't have anything doing for Cocoa Board insofar as my ministry is concerned. And for purposes of keeping consistent with the time, I won't be there as a CEO, but they can still call my firm to do some work for them. And I don't know whether there will be a conflict of interest or not.
Maybe the hope situation is that you will not be calling the Deputy Minister of Finance, may he be or Muhammad, I have something at your end. Can you look at it for me? I'm just only saying this to remind you so that as you go, you make sure you take the necessary steps to avoid the conflict of interest situation. Let me come to the known to you, and then we'll then move into the unknown, where you'll be going. Rent. You know, one of the biggest problem we have, you have the Rent Act talks about the maximum you can pay a property owner and what is being charged. Complete deviation. And it's so difficult, people take 2 years and what have you. What, in your view, had been the real challenge? Why it's so difficult to comply with the Rent Act in terms of renting in Ghana?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think we find ourselves in a situation that I and you cannot do anything about it. It's a demand and supply situation. And in every environment where demand exceeds supply, the details of the diagram will show as to how those who hold the key to it will behave. So, like, we're supposed to take 6 months rent advance. But the chamber and hall at Abekala Pass, or for that matter, Dansuman, about 10 or 20 people are competing for that same chamber and hall. Sometimes even they go about taking the advance from 2, 3, 4 people because they all need it. What can you do? And sometimes if you say on the face of the law, you're supposed to pay 6 months, somebody will be willing to pay 1 year, 2 years advance, and the landlord will give. So what can you do? So I think we are confronted with a situation where, as a nation, there's a need, because the law cannot bite. And not that it's not a good law. It's good, all right, to trying to protect individual workers, but it cannot do much. So the housing deficit that we have as a nation, there's an urgent need for us to work on it. Other than that, we should forget about that. That's the reality.
Yeah, that's the reality, but is it not the more reason why government must ensure that the law is enforceable? Because
it's not possible to enforce that.
Because if you say it's not possible, that means we should just raise our hands and what do you call it, despair, and then sit and watch.
To rather amend the law to conform with the realities on the ground. That's
what about increasing the housing stock?
Butcher is one of the options available to us. So we can either change the law to conform with the practice that we currently find ourselves in, or we increase the stock. By looking at the constraints that we have as a nation, finance, we are where we are at the moment.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from him, because he's a practitioner in this area for a very long period of time, whether, apart from the number of, the quantum of money that's also charged, you go to the same area, and everybody is just charging anything, a different figure. There's no standardization, no pricing. Is there left to the demand and supply forces to determine the pricing? Don't you think that this is an area that, as a country, we need to be able to fix?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. You realize that in Ghana here, in terms of percentage, we realize that I don't think maybe the government may even control 5% of the housing stock of the country. So about, to be on the conservative side, about 90-95% of the housing stock that we have in this country owned by individuals. And when it becomes that, it's very difficult for government to, as it were, dictate the pace as to what to do and what not to do. That notwithstanding, I think we may still through the rent out by revising and seeing the need to do at hand at the moment.
It's the same with land. In Accra, there are areas that quotation. The person, and then surprisingly, others come and they pay. And it crowds out, most especially, the middle class, and some instances, even Ghanaians, living an area, and then before we realize that one particular area is virtually encumbered by foreigners. Don't you think that there's something that could be done to avert this?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. That's why I started by saying that all of us as legislatures must endeavor to make this country work. We have a law which says that even for leases to foreigners, it should not be more than 50 years. But sometimes as a valuer, you are reviewing a document for purposes of valuation, and a foreigner may have a lease which is more than that 50 years, because somebody somewhere is not doing the right thing or is not doing what is expected of him. So there are a lot of challenges confronting us as a nation, and I think we need to work hard in trying to streamline some of these things for the betterment of our development.
Questions where you have to even use my council as an example about the encroachment to the railway land and areas. I remember I met you and some officers in Kumasi and were talking about this. And I was telling you that, hey, you may need AK-47 to be able to pave way for the rail line to be able to go through. But the most important thing is that most of these occupants get to where they are through officers of the railway authority. And they give them some notes. Some of them, they pay rent to them, and they give them receipts when they know they are not supposed to do that. Don't you think that not only in the railway line, but even in the, management of our land, regardless of where you are, maybe you were 20 years ago in Bambata, and you might have issued some of these things to individuals. Today you are a member of parliament. The law should be able to catch up with you regardless of where you are. Instead of those officers who are down there, they say, oh, I came to meet it. I didn't know how it happened. Don't say, if we I may sell it today, reduce this abuse of office done by private individuals, and they put toll on it. And for example, Kumasi, I don't understand why government after government is wanting to construct a very lucrative road such as Accra Kumasi, when you can just give it and someone will do it 10 lanes and put toll, and people will pay, and it will pay off. In the railway sector, when given the opportunity to advise the minister, will you want to consider so much stretch from the government side trying to raise funds to do them?
Thank you, Honorable Minority Chief Whip, in that respect. I think that's the way to go. When you look at the railway sector, the government is trying to promote investors. We initially taking loans for feasibility. And you bring in any investor, some amount to do the construction by itself, you realize that the numbers will not feasibility. It may not be viable. But where government is able to commit some funds, in line from Kumasi and other things where we're using GOG, when we are able to secure that line, will be as his contribution to that sector, saying that even if we are giving a concession agreement to that investor to continue build and operate, it will lessen the time span that will. So the loans that we're taking is to make the whole line attractive. We know that what you are saying is the way to go, but looking at the passenger traffic and everything, and you put the numbers together, if we don't do something internally about it, the project may not be feasible.
Chairman, thank you very much.
So, Chairman, what will you do internally about it, responding to him? Because there's now a PPP Act. We've gone beyond policy what will you do internally to give meaning to what he has said, to allow for private sector participation in that activity? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chair, when given the nod, I will consult with my minister and we'll look at the entire system and the new PPA Act, yeah, and see what we can do about it.
All right, I have no question for you. So we thank you for attending upon the committee to answer questions.
Thank you all very much I thank you all.
Sampayetia Obanyansa Fusu Bundia one can asam. They mouth to some cacre was supreme. Yo, coffee, oh my woman. Oh, money, mana. Kenny baby, watch out, I warren. One some, one in pa.
Do you want to have an encounter with God? Are you hungry for God's word and for signs of His transforming power in your life? If you need a touch from the Almighty, make a date with Positive Hour only on GTV every Tuesday morning. Join the General Overseer of the Positive Gospel Church, Reverend Frank Odoi Sarkodie, and his vibrant congregation every Tuesday at 5:30 a.m. only on GTV. You can also worship with Positive Gospel International Church at all their branches in and outside Ghana at these times. Positive Hour. Get a touch from God only on GTV.
Studies have shown that lemon and lime have a lot of healing properties. It can be used for cleansing the body, detoxifying. It contains potassium, calcium, vitamins A and C. Lime and lemon belong to the citrus family of fruits. These fruits possess a number of vitamins and minerals for good and healthy body. Studies have shown that the healing power of lime and lemon cannot be overemphasized. Both lime and lemon are excellent sources of vitamin C, B6, potassium, folates, flavonoids, to mention but a few. A survey conducted by GTV indicates that more people are aware of the...
We use lemon to clean our food. I hear it contains a lot of vitamin C. So some people drink it